In Egypt, a number of high-ranking sports officials, including the board of directors of football giant Zamalek, were permanently suspended on the recommendations of a financial and administrative committee appointed by the country's Ministry of Youth and Sports. CGTN's Adel Mahrouky reports.
The Egyptian Sports Ministry is for the first time facing corruption with an iron fist. In October, it began its annual financial audit. This year, however, it appears the ministry has taken the inspections very seriously. From top clubs like Al Ahly and Zamalek to the most powerful Egyptian Football Association and the Egyptian Olympics Committee, no one was excluded.
We are living in a time where Egypt does not want to see corrupt officials remain in office or have finances disappearing without trace. This is a decisive move and the strongest seen yet. If it is not going to terminate corruption, then it will definitely reduce it. Everyone now understands that there is a strong auditing system developed for the sports.
The initial findings have blown away Zamalek's board of directors for financial violations. A comprehensive report from the ministry was sent to the Prosecutor General's office, who's leading a judicial investigation.
Zamalek owes $19 million in taxes. It has membership violations worth $32 million. A huge amount of cash was found in their vaults. That's illegal. Such amounts should be in bank accounts. Zamalek faces court orders violations for not paying dues to former coaches and players. To escape that, they wired some revenues to personal accounts of board members to escape the financial sanctions. These are massive financial violations, and the board could face time in prison.
Many other clubs and public youth sports facilities have registered violations, none of which appears to be as grave as Zamalek's. The news has created panic in the Egyptian sports scene. It's why the ministry never announced the violations except after the CAF Champions League final, which Zamalek lost against Al Ahly. Yet, the EOC was still audited ahead of the Tokyo Olympics.
We didn't see any report that came out from the Ministry of Sport yet, regarding their findings, if you want to say, but this is a yearly routine procedure, as I said before, which is normal. If they find something that has been spent wrongly, we will adjust it and see what went wrong, and we do what's right. But there's no stealing or irregularities that are huge that. As some press may like to seem to make it seem. This doesn't happen, nor in federations, nor in the Olympic Committee.
The EOC is not only confident that the inspections won't impact its Tokyo preparations, but it's even expecting the biggest and strongest team ever next year.
We are working in our goal for Tokyo 2020, working very hard, federations and the Olympic Committee, with our players to qualify them. The qualifiers are going to start again starting from January till June, and we hope to have a delegation that's the biggest in Egyptian history, with more than 130 players qualified, and we hope also to break the 5-medal top score that Egypt has ever done in Olympic Games.
A 2017 amendment to the sports financial law in Egypt was the reason behind these thorough investigations. The Justice Ministry this year gave a power of judicial arrest to sports ministry officials, which halted previous obstructions from sports entities against their audits. That's why massive financial violations have been reported this year in this annual audit. Financial discrepancies have been found in 57 clubs and public youth centers, the board of directors of which have been all temporarily suspended until the prosecution investigations are over. Adel Mahrouky, CGTN, Cairo.
Well, for more on the efforts to rid corruption in Egyptian sports, we now welcome our correspondent Adel Mahrouky live from Cairo. Adel, welcome to Sports Scene. As always, great to have you with us. Adel, have the efforts of the investigation committee gone far enough to rid the endemic corruption in Egyptian sports? Adel?
Well, Mahia, it's It's a big deal, and as you've seen in the report, we're talking about 57 clubs and entities, so it's a huge investigation. What we know for sure is that the investigations and the financial auditing process are still ongoing, actually, to this very day. And just last week, the Egyptian sports minister has said that he's personally supervising on these efforts. There's a collaboration between the sports ministry and the state's central auditing authority. Both are launching this offensive against corruption, which is probably the harshest we've seen in decades. So there is an apparent serious will from the government to put an end to that corruption, but to what end will they be successful? It's still not clear.
All right, Adel, I have one more question for you, if you would indulge me. Before we let you go, briefly tell us how the investigation into the Egyptian Olympic Committee has affected the country's preparations for Tokyo 2020 Olympics.
So for Zamalek is the main body that has been prosecuted entirely. Zamalek's board of directors and the head of the club, Murtada Mansour, were finally convicted, and that's part from the investigation part. And now they are facing a prosecution, and there is a trial that will be ongoing. Up to when and how successful will they be, it's still not clear. But just to give you a hint, that the president of the former president of the Zamalek club, Murtada Mansour, is one of the most successful lawyers in the country. So if there's a legal battle, he would be very well prepared for it. But it seems that the violations are severe. The Zamalek, by the way, is the only club so far and the only entity so far that has faced the prosecution, and the investigations are actually proceeding into actual trial. The rest of the violations are considered more or less minor, more of a administrative irregularity that could be properly managed, and a follow-up from the sports ministry and the other entities will go on. But for Zamalek, it is an investigation and it will proceed to trial.
All right, Adel El Mahrouky, excellent reporting as always. Thanks for bringing all of that there to light. That's Adel El Mahrouky speaking to us from Cairo.